a été professeur associé au Centre d'études de population et de développement à l'Université de Harvard aux États-Unis. Vous l'avez compris, le 4e directeur exécutif du Fonds des Nations Unies pour la population est un fils de l'Afrique et le tout premier à occuper ce poste depuis la création de l'institution en 1969. Professeur Babatunde Osotimehin, we are very pleased to welcome you for your speech. Ekabo.
Ekule. The guest of honor of this important ceremony, Her Excellency Dr. Thomas Boniai, distinguished son of Africa, Chairman of the African Union and President of the Republic of Benin. Let me, at the outset, thank you, sir, Your Excellency, and the government and people of Benin for the honor done to me today by granting me the Grand Order of the Order of the Republic of Benin. I feel truly honored, and I take it as a call to service, not only to the people of this great country, but of the African continent. The ministers that we have present, the ministers of development, Minister of Health, Minister of Youth, and the Justice Minister, I thank you for being here. Honorable Ministers of Youth from the African continent that are here to be part of this conversation, members of the Diplomatic Corps, representatives of the United Nations agencies here present, my colleagues from UNFPA, and I think the most important component of this meeting, young people who are sitting at the back. Media colleagues and distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I always have a problem with written speeches, and I find it very difficult to speak to a written speech. And because this is a very special event for me, I'm going to speak from my heart. Africa is at an inflection point. And Africa understands this. The population, demography, and the composition of Africa actually talks about a youthful population. In each of those countries that you see, 60 to 70% of the population is made up of people under the age of 30. And I think Africa has responded to it in terms of policy. Africa has an African Youth Charter, and I think the AU was the first intergovernmental organization that actually established it. And so to an extent, at the political level, there's an understanding that there has to be a response and a program to take advantage of the vitality that young people bring to this continent. And 2 AU summits ago, it was devoted to the issue of young people. And I had the distinction of being the only UN head of agency to address that meeting. And at that meeting, we also had the distinction and the rare opportunity of young people addressing the summit, which means that within Africa itself, there is a clear understanding that young people have to be given a voice, a space, an opportunity, not only to express themselves, but to be part of Africa's development. Now, that political statement is not enough. What we have to have, and what we need to have, is operationalization and being able to reduce this to the ground, to be able to get young people engaged in a manner in which they can feel that they're part of development. They can feel that they are being included. They can feel that they have a future in this continent. And I think that's where the work is. And I think the other point that has to be made is we as development experts, or as governments, or as civil society, must not be shy to accept that sometimes we don't know what to do with young people, because we have always taken them for granted. We as adults have always felt we know what they need, and so we tell them what they should do. And I was surprised at some point, we had a colloquium at the Columbia University in New York, where professors from across the globe actually said, you know, we teach them, but we don't understand them. And so there is a need for us to step back and ask ourselves, how do we engage young people? What are the things we have to do to give them expression? What are the things that they would like to see? Are we providing them the opportunity to be able to do what they like to do without breaking the law and without, going out and destroying anything? And I want to say that young people are responsible. They want to participate. They want to be part of conversation. They want to express themselves. When I was growing up, and I qualified in medicine 40 years ago, the average Nigerian family would like to see his son be a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer. If you came home and you said you wanted to be a musician, you were a lost cause. If you came home and you said you wanted to be an artist, you were an outcast. Now, of course, that has changed, but it needs to change more. Because the best people, as you see, and if you follow development around the world, the best people are those young people who have been given enough space to express themselves. Mark, who actually started Facebook, he's not even 30 yet, but see what he has become of himself. As a parent, if I sent him to Harvard, I would be cross with him that he did not take a degree out of the place. But maybe that's not what he was supposed to do. Now, how many of us as parents, as adults, would allow our sons and our daughters to do just that? Be themselves, express themselves, and be able to bring forth their creativity, their innovation, and their contribution. That is what we're calling on ourselves as individuals, as governments, and as institutions to provide for. Of course, it has to be structured. Of course, we have to innovate. Of course, we have to invest. And I believe that going forward, that is the important step that has to be taken. I was in an African country once, and I was looking, like I said, at the demography of the census, where I saw 70% of the population was under the age of 30. And I asked the Minister of Development, I'm not going to ask him today here, how much of your budget is addressing young people's issues? You can only buy what you pay for. If you put 5% of your budget to education, you get poor education. If you put 3% of your budget to health, you get poor health. There are countries in the world today that I know that when they were going through the same process that Africa is going through today, they devoted 60% of their budget to education and health. No matter where we want to go, and no matter what is driving growth in Africa today, which is 7%, all of which is extractive industry. If it is not inclusive growth, if you do not invest in human capacity development, if you do not invest in young people, growth will not be sustained. And so what I say is that that money that comes from oil, that money that comes from diamonds, that money that comes from gold must be invested in developing young people. And I want to believe that all of us would like to see that happen. There are countries in the world, and examples of which we know. Japan has no natural resource. All it has is its people. South Korea has done it, developing its people. Switzerland does not have natural resources in the way that we know it. But they are developed countries, and they are developed because they placed a lot of premium on the human person and the human capital. The demographic dividend Africa has today, with the energy and the vitality of its young people, with the opportunities that exist, the technologies that we know, the innovations that are out there, let us expose our young people to it, and let them take over from us and lead this continent. We at UNFPA, and I as an African, would ensure that we invest to the very best and ensure that Africa does rise through its young people. I thank you for listening.
Mesdames et messieurs, nous allons suivre à présent l'hymne de la jeunesse qui nous est proposé par Madame Raissa Beji.
Merci beaucoup. Et puisque mon baladeur ne marche pas, je voudrais